Time Rush is back and more popular than ever.
I'm a big Time Rush fan through and through. I watched the entire series growing up. I was there every time there was a new episode. There was something about this Ned's Declassified-esque sequel in tone that really called out to me. It was like taking the Naked Brothers band and Zoe 101 and somehow making the perfect culmination of the two in comedy form. I thought it was really good. Kendall, I thought, was really charming with his 2000s hair, random moralistic attitude, and just overall like optimism. He was a fun character that it was really fun to root for. There's the conceited one, James, who cares a lot about his looks, kind of how things affect him, but he's also pretty nice of a guy. He's a devoted friend, loyal, and he always looks out for the rest of the group. Then we got Logan, who is the stereotypical nerd, I would say the Virgo in the group, and he is very focused on the technical aspects of everything, but he's not like heartless. He's just organized, focused. He too is very loyal. The one traits that all of them share is like loyalty, hope, optimism. It's a very positive environment as opposed to like a Dan Schneider show like Zoe 101 or iCarly. Then of course we got Carlos, who is the wild card. He always wears a helmet, which is such a funny character trope. And he's normally pretty reserved, but he comes out when he is feeling passionate about something, and it's always funny to have the funniest character and the most ethical character. The point is, the show was interesting. We also had Gustavo Rocque. He was the record producer that kind of was their mentor throughout the whole show, but not like the best mentor, more of like a very flawed mentor that cared about the bottom line, but taught the boys things inadvertently through situations and just issues they would go through together, which definitely caught my attention growing up. I loved feeling like one with the adults. Like everything I was going through was something that made sense to adults, and they would go through at one point too, so you can get advice from them. This was a really fun dynamic, and the show was just so funny. So when I heard they were going on tour, I was like, there's no way. I had friends go to their tour a couple years ago, and I've been listening to all their new music, and it is fire. It is like they're recreating the TV show from the ground up. Like, they truly wrote all these songs, and I commend them for it, because it's so cool when you write a song, get it on a TV show. Like, that's just such a cool extra step that they were all willing to take. It shows that they weren't only focused on acting, they just all around knew what they wanted to be, and that kind of drove what they did. You could tell it in the characters that they played. You could tell it in the way they came together, because it's not normal to meet all your friends in the casting of a TV show, but the ability to make the best of it is kind of like trauma bonding, but using it in a optimistic way and kind of create a new situation out of it. So even though the set or the show, like behind the scenes, I'm not sure really what went on, but what they created was very wholesome and realistic, and it felt like it wasn't condescending me, even though it was really cheesy at points with the laugh tracks and stuff. And I hold true to that up until the very end. Unlike iCarly, unlike Drake and Josh, who they kind of became a shell of themselves by the end because of the comedy. Like, the comedy was so strong that they almost threw the characters in the back seat. Well, in this scenario, they kept the characters super stereotypical from the beginning. Like, they started with them flanderized, being like this one trope type thing, and then as the show progressed, we got to see different sides of them based on the decisions they made at the Palm Woods, or because of the record label being faced with all this popularity issues. It was really fun to watch them unfold like that. But I got this same feeling when I watched this show live.
Oh, you're such a turd. Oh yeah, giant turd. And you look like a turd, and you smell like a turd. Too easy, such a turd. Oh yeah. Come on, sing it out.
I brushed over it a little bit, but yeah, they wrote their own songs. Like, I always thought it was somebody at Nickelodeon that, like, assigned the episode, but it turns out, like, James, Logan, like, they were letting us know which songs they wrote in the concert, which made it so much more authentic. It felt like I was really watching them, like, come out about, like, some of their old journal entries. Like, it was very connected. Something that I think is really important in live theater and live performance. It's like, we don't really have TV as much as we have YouTube and all these other things. So the fact that they kind of took Big Time Rush not only as an IP and adapted it into something else, they took the experience and made it into a whole new medium. So it's almost like I felt like I was watching the show live on stage. It wasn't Broadway, there wasn't a connecting plot, but they somehow made it work that the characters were ever present in their personalities. Like, they leaned into it when they were on stage, but not so much that they weren't themselves. Like, you could tell that there was the genuineness there when they were singing, that they knew everything they were doing. And it just, oh gosh, the energy just felt really good. And I'm not always going to like a million concerts, but I am seeing a million shows on television, on writing in theater. Like, there's a lot of aspects I get of the entertainment industry, and the concert ones were always, to me, the most stagnant, because it's like you just come out, you sing, you don't have too much to do. But here, I felt like there was almost like an episodic structure to the way things went.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot! Got him!
And it was really cool because they added Gustavo Rocque and Katelyn Tarver. And Katelyn played Jo, Kendall's girlfriend. A lot of episodes of Big Time Rush. That felt justified. And of course, Glickman, who played Gustavo Rocque, who's the big head of everything with the boys. We started with Gustavo, and he did such a good job at playing songs that the demographic really wanted. Like, he must have done research or talked to Big Time Rush, because I don't know how he knew all these songs. That old famous song, Creep, Toxic by Britney Spears, he threw in Billie Eilish, and then Pink Pony Club from Chappell Roan, which I thought was kind of baller. Like, he's such a good singer, and I didn't realize he was Shrek on Broadway too. Like, it's cool that they kind of didn't show off too much, but they kind of got right into it. You can't not talk about that stuff, but I like the way they just kind of brushed into it.
A couple of years ago, I went through a big breakup. Anybody else? When I say that, everyone go, "Aww, I went through a big breakup."
After he went, we got Jo.
And actress, might I add, BTR icon, Katelyn Tarver.
Logan, are you reading that off a script?
What? No.
She had more of like a Sabrina Carpenter vibe of like really nostalgic country pop that kind of would be like akin to like Taylor Swift. And I thought she was really good, very talented. Like, her vocal skills are incredible. I can't believe that she didn't sing on the show. And having her there was just such a interesting context, because it made me feel like I was watching the show again. Like, something about the conformity of it all really made it work. And it kind of makes me feel good knowing that, like, they're there to lift each other up, and that Big Time Rush actually took the time to re-recognize all these people that helped them get to where they are. So the set list was insane when we actually got to Big Time Rush. They definitely played every single song. They got really creative with combining a few, so that way it wasn't there for so long. Mind you, this concert was already 3 hours, so I kind of needed that. But otherwise, I liked all of them. I liked every album by these boys. I liked 24/7, their newest, with all those songs like Confetti Fallen. Like, I watched up until the very end, so I knew exactly what songs I wanted. And there was like only one song I didn't recognize, which was insane. Like, 43 songs and one was out of the ordinary. I'm not going to go over the entire set list, but I do want to go over the more interesting ones. So we obviously started off strong. We got some really good numbers like Windows Down, Amazing, Music Sounds Better, Superstar. And then we're all just taking this nostalgic walk down memory lane being like, wow. I remember the episodes, I remember the places. They had screens that gave us glimpses into the episodes. And I couldn't help but wonder the copyright issues and how they worked that out with Nickelodeon. But I suspended my disbelief long enough to just be so immersed in it. It made me feel like I was watching a narrative. And the way they connected with Gustavo on stage, like, they gave him like 5 or 6 moments within like a whole section. Earlier in the set, when they got through a couple songs, they introduced Gustavo back on stage, which was super cool. They had this giant RR Rock Records thing in the background. It almost felt like a scene was being painted. And one by one, each of the band members got to sing an entire one of the Big Time Rush songs by themselves with Gustavo on the piano. And that's where it felt like they found a way to tell the story and just the characters of like what Big Time Rush really was.
Last song was the last song of the last episode, right?
Yeah, and I totally wasn't crying while I watched you guys do it live the first time on stage.
That's why you wear sunglasses to hide his tears on stage.
My tears.
My favorite thing was when they sang the Turd song to him. I mean, we all saw it coming. The audience laughed before it even happened. But just the fact that they found it on the piano and turned it into like a very quick quip is exactly what connected it to the show in a way that I really liked. And I felt like I was in Rock Records. Like, it was astounding. I feel like this type of thing could go even further. Like, it reminds me of like Pee-wee's Playhouse, how that was a TV show and ended up on Broadway. Like, the songs are so good on their own, they don't really need plot, but if they had plot, they could create this entire new experience. Things like new artists like AJR, 21 Pilots, they're finding new ways to take the stage, innovate, find a good reason for us to all get together live again, and this was another example of that. If anything, Big Time Rush has something that Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, the Beach Boys never really had in common. Like, these were all famous people, they could do whatever they want, they could sing, but Big Time Rush had a TV show, kind of like the Monkees did, and Big Time Rush actually puts itself in this unique medium where they can kind of do things that other shows can't do. And I really liked seeing how they took advantage of that and actually lived up to it. 3 hours, though, that's crazy. I can't believe they were able to sing for 3 hours. They were definitely taking turns, but they were very strategic about it. I don't know how they made it work so well. So yeah, we got Gustavo with a couple songs, then we got Back to the Boys, and the effects in the show were kind of crazy. Like, they kept all the Big Time Rush fonts, and the art style was definitely there. They had a bunch of fun movie moments where they actually recorded some live segments of them just being goofy, still kind of in character, despite the fact that they're not playing a character.
Right, I just gotta say, tonight's crowd is insane, and
It just flowed together really well. It felt like you were just hanging out with Big Time Rush, and they were so personable, finding ways to talk in between the songs. They were clearly like so proud of this show and so grateful for the opportunity it gave them. It just makes me really, really, really want a Hannah Montana show. Because like, that's a show that it's like, oh, clearly she wants to do her own thing, but Big Time Rush is very focused on like, okay, we're going to commit to the fact that this was our thing, this is what we're known for, and like, let's lean into it, which I admire. Like, you have to do stuff like that, especially in the age of revivals and reboots. Like, sometimes that's what it is. And the best thing to do about something like that, like iCarly being stuck in that, it's like, bring it back, make it work, find a new way to add meaning to that art. And Big Time Rush did this. Like, I think this was a full-on revival of the show. Oh, and the way they like went about the songs that they knew people wouldn't recognize. Like, 24/7 is such a hard album because I don't love all the songs on it, but it is very authentically Big Time Rush. They put their time and effort into it. They're gonna have to sing those songs. They committed to it. And I, as a fan of these songs, like, knew that that was gonna happen, and I was so excited to experience that. Like, Amazing. When they were singing Amazing, they had this whole, like, boy band group vibe, like One Direction or 5 Seconds of Summer, where they would do the same choreography, and it would be kind of basic, but that's what made it so wholesome. Picture This is one of their newer songs as well, something that really wasn't super popular, wasn't even on the show that much. But they had this really cool gimmick where they took the main stage camera, put it at different spots, like placed it down, and then they were just kind of like wacky in front of it, which is definitely like a Big Time Rush vibe type thing. It felt like they found a way to almost make 2 or 3 songs of their own, its own musical number, give it a little bit of an identity, and that way, like, the show felt a lot more varied up as we went from each set. you know? But yeah, picture this, one of the top moments for me. I feel like that was just such a genius idea. It's so funny because in reality, these songs and lyrics can be so cheesy sometimes, but hearing them on stage actually being sung by the person who wrote them makes me feel like it's not cheesy. It's like there's something about it that it was their actual words coming out, and unlike a produced song on Spotify, you could tell there's a little bit of heart in there, and it's like these songs weren't written to appeal to anybody specific. They were expressing an emotion, and it worked. The fact that they even had the Big Time Rush opening in was so unnecessary. Sorry I'm backtracking again, but like from the very beginning, you get the opening theme song. Of course you're gonna feel like it's the show. And they're performing it live as the clips from the show are playing. It's like, it's awesome. We all are nostalgic for it, and it's like, lean into that. And then, of course, they got to the more intimate songs and actually brought Katelyn Tarver back onto the stage, and they were actually right next to us. So they had a whole acoustic set where they took some of the songs that I actually really didn't expect to be ballads and make them acoustic sets. And gosh, it was just so good. And having Katelyn fill in for the female parts on some of those songs made them like a whole new level. Like, it felt like I knew all the songs, but at the same time I was experiencing them for the first time. And having it be like only 5 or 6 rows down from me, like the entire crowd was crowded up trying to get closer to them. And it was so sweet. Like, if you could see in this image, like, it felt like we were right there, and I did not need to be closer. I felt like that was really cool. And then, of course, they brought girls on stage for Worldwide, which is so funny. I didn't realize that they had that as a tradition. Like, a lot of people there were like, oh, I want to be the one that goes on stage.
Natalie, you've been a fan since you were what age?
Since I was 7.
Since you were 7 years old. And where do you live?
And I actually got to meet that stage girl at the end of it. Like, James was singing to this blonde girl the whole time, and then we were walking out at the end, and she was like, yeah, that was kind of fun. And I was like, kind of fun? Imagine I was there! No, I really wish I was there, though, because it would be really cool to have told Big Time Rush that, like, I like to report on 2000 stuff, and that they're one of my favorite shows. Like, that would be crazy. Then they got into Invisible, and they had these clips, and it kind of made me emotional because it's like so interesting to think that 2000s content can have such an impact on modern day. It's almost like leaning into the past but still having control of where it led is something like really comfortable for me. That's why like a concert like this felt like a little bit more than I was just seeing a band. It felt like I was going to see a show, or I was involved in a performance, and it definitely makes me reflect on my own work a lot. Like, I have a lot of shows like Heartbreak Hospital, for example, about all these kids in a hospital for heartbreaks, and they're taking turns singing. Like, how could we integrate a more concert-like experience, a more engaging experience into the plot of a show, into the story of something, and almost like make you feel part of it, and then years later, something to reflect on when you're done. Like, that's the dream. Like, that would be really cool. The thing that made me really feel like it was a Broadway show was they had this one graphic that made it look like they were outside of this music venue. Giant marquee with the Big Time Rush font, all swirly, and it felt like a Broadway show. That's when I was like, wow, I would kill to see this as a Broadway show. This is actually such a good idea. And seeing Gustavo and the way they rounded out the energy of the whole show, like, as opposed to it just being Big Time Rush, just really worked well in its favor. And I love seeing those extra people getting those opportunities, because I feel like it's really hard in this day and age, and it's like the fact that they're leaning into these old characters is probably very vulnerable and like annoying to be like, oh yeah, I do new music, but this is what you guys know me as. If we actually listen to like what they're doing, like, you'll realize the character is probably them anyway. I had to highlight my favorite song, Nothing Even Matters, from the first album. It's like this slow, like, nice dance song, and I remember I used to like be so emotional about it, and when they played it, like, everybody else was into it too. Like, it was so crazy to think that, like, it was my favorite song, but everybody knew it. Like, I loved that communal experience, because we didn't experience their music like a traditional, like, one album at a time, like you had chances to fall off. Like, it was an ever-present show with multiple seasons where you had time to get in and get out pretty comfortably, and they made it perfect for any fan. Like, my girlfriend never saw Big Time Rush, but then suddenly they're playing all the songs, and she knows, like, a lot more than she thought. And then it's like such a staple of our culture, and they really leaned into it. It got really intense as it culminated in this big confetti cannon of the song Confetti Falling, which is kind of obvious, not in a bad way, in a cool way, that they leaned into that a lot. And we got the last two songs being the best songs ever. Spoiler alert, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. Okay, I gave you 3 warnings. It ended with Boyfriend, Until I Forget About You, which are some of the best songs ever, for sure. They really didn't let the fans, like, dictate only what they wanted. They kind of worked with the fans to figure out which ones were worth playing. And they had little small moments throughout the show that told us that they were mixing it up every night, which was really cool. Like, I feel like if you see the show, you're not going to get the same performance. You might get to see all the songs. That's a guarantee, which I like being guaranteed that. And then you get a little bit extra. So there's nothing I can describe here that could spoil it for you completely. Like, I really do feel like it's an experience you can only get in real life, and I really advise you 2000s fans to see this concert. I think they're gonna have more tour dates soon, and I really hope they do it again, like maybe with their new music, because I gotta be honest, guys, their new music is just as good as the old music. You have to listen to some of it. I'm just so happy that, like, they're still holding on to kind of what made them good. They're not, like, flanderizing themselves. They're not overdoing it too much. They're giving us exactly what we want, but doing it in a way they present. Like, it's very thoughtful for an artist, and the way they integrated it into a concert, really hard to do. They actually had a whole episode about them at a concert, and that just made it super surreal for me. I wish I watched that right before I went into it, because it really feels like I'm a part of the show when they're doing stuff like that. Like, they do not leave you out as a person. So yeah, I left pretty fulfilled. And then I remember reading online that same day, and I'm not sure if you guys saw this news either, but they said there's a Big Time Rush movie in the works. What does that mean? Like, does that mean they're doing a movie recorded version of what they did tonight, or it's completely separate as a sequel to the original show? Do we have to talk about that Beatles movie they did? I'm not sure if you guys saw my review on it, but they did a movie and it was like kind of focused on the Beatles. Seeing what that the boys have done on their own with Big Time Rush seems just as legitimate as the original show. So I hope they do a movie, and I hope they do their own songs. All these songs I heard, I'm like, this should have been in the movie. Like, all of their significance worked on its own. Like, now we listen to Big Time Rush more than the Beatles. Controversial take, but it's true. So yeah, I really hope that they finally get to do a movie, like, actually put out their songs, because that would have been such a good thing at the time. Like, their songs meant so much back then. We did not need to cover other people's songs. Yeah, but I'm gonna let that go for a while. Otherwise, if you guys like Big Time Rush, you can't miss this concert. And if you just kind of passively watched Big Time Rush, I still think you can't miss this concert. It's only if you hate them that I think you should just go to the concert, you know? So either way, it's a win-win. And you gotta trust me, Johnny 2000, that this is an experience you're not going to want to miss, especially if you like watching these YouTube videos, if you like dipping into nostalgia in a way that also kind of feels fulfilling and genuine. Like, this is the time to do it, you know? Like, we only have one life, so make sure you guys are out there building the experiences you want to have for yourself if somebody isn't cultivating it for you. And if you see the Big Time Rush concert, you'll get a little bit of a template on how to do that, because they made it work for them, and I'm so grateful that they made it work for us too. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Johnny 2000, and have a great day.